So then I started on the back seam. So this is all made up, just for whatever looks good is going on the layout. Now all the back seam is all low relief, so it's only part of the building, and just made sure all the tunnel entrances are lined up with my tracks, and just basically designed stuff as on the fly. I looked at old buildings and they all had lots of windows, lots of windows it is, and with the 3D printer you can just chuck in lots of windows I should say. And what I'd done was in sections, so I made a frame up at the back and just clad it with different sections as I went along. Just added bits and bobs, thinking that'll look alright, that won't look alright. My painting technique, especially for windows, whatever window colour you're going for, do that first. Get it all painted up, because otherwise you can spend hours going through window frames. And then it's a coat of red paint. I use basic acrylic colours. I think my last lot come from Lidl. Just the primary colours, and you can mix a few together, get different shades. And then we go a bit of leopard spotting on there, without trying to go on too much on the windows. And then the time you add a bit of black and then a top coat, it transforms it. I did a, don't know what you call that, conservatory on the top, and on the windows, all the windows are dirty, just a bit of brown wash, chuck it on. I'm going for the old weathered look, hard life look. So I did all these doors opening so I can at a later date people in there, or even motorise them. Gives me a bit of options. Just a bit of a close-up. That's a bit more progress, a few more buildings. I did start doing different shades of brickwork, and then I thought I always kept going back to the same one, so that's all work in progress. And that's the final, not the final result, it's where I'm at now on the layout. So that's the back scene. I've still got to add a lot of detail. It's just there's no cranes or windows in there, and it's just, I don't know what these are. I've seen them on buildings, so I thought I'd put them on. There's different styles, basically all. When I looked at buildings, they nearly all had half round windows, and so why not? It's easy done, especially if you've watched the videos on SketchUp and adding brickwork. It's all so easy done. And these are just, if you look at it, it looks very complicated, but each bit's a separate section. So these buildings are coming kit form. Don't print them in one hit, just lay them flat and print the woodwork, glue them together. If you check the videos out, you make your subframe and just add to it. If you use the plaster of Paris, push it in the grooves and then seal it, it comes out alright in the end. Close examination, it doesn't look so great, but it won't be seen from it very close up. So the joys of using SketchUp and the windows, different types, different shapes, sizes. That's another thing in SketchUp, you can do louvers on as a plug-in where you can use louvres, make louvres on the windows and doors and stuff like that. And we're on to just other buildings I've designed, and all done in SketchUp, all 3D printed on an FDM printer, an Ender 3. And the roofs are done on the Ender 3. Chimneys might have been resin printed. I do most of the printing buildings on the Ender and FDM, but then when it comes to some detail, the resin wins out. The roofs, once they're distressed a bit, no, you can't even tell they're 3D printed. This is a building. You can see it's in sections. One section there. I did start off with roof windows, but I put dormers on. This truck here is off Thingiverse. So someone's got a lot of military vehicles on there, and because my layout is 1950s sort of era, they're military trucks perfectly for my layout. So saves me designing, and there's a lot of work gone into them. So if you check on Thingiverse, I think it's 101 vehicles. Well, they are. That's the. I've taken the windows out and put dormers in. I thought they look better. But then when you do decide to do a big building, you end up with lots of doors. So I do them as a job lot. You can see some have got handles, some haven't. Depends how harsh you are when you take them from the supports, whether they break or not. But they're very fine anyway, so all you do is you hide them. Different types. I think these handles are a bit more robust because they seem to have stayed on. Just different designs. I use the same technique for the bricks, the roofs, bit of that powder stuff I said about, and sometimes I use a water spray, get water effects. I've done buildings like this off the ground so I can get dioramas underneath. This is one of my canopies, and all I do is 3D print the canopy. That's in 2 halves, so you stand it on the bed and it's printed like that. And this is masking tape, but I put super glue on the back of the masking tape, then rub it over and stick it down so it's not coming off. Because if you just use masking tape, it'll lift. And just strips of masking tape going across, a bit of weathering. Don't look too sad. The posts, well, I think resin printed. I resin printed them because there's a bit more detail in them. And what I've done is I've made dioramas, so they've got dowels in the bottom of here, so I can just plonk it on the layout and it'll be one section done. And this is just brickwork attached. It's sitting on a bit of foam because the dowels are sticking out. So I can make my dioramas, so if I go to set the layout up, there's no setup time, just put them on. It's a brick wall that's going to be surrounding the layout. This is all done in SketchUp again. Essex Coalworks, that one I think. All 3D printed. These are resin printed. These dustbins I got off Thingiverse, and bicycles because someone has designed these, and I don't fancy designing a bike. They take a lot of hard work. So Thingiverse is good for some stuff. The smaller stuff that's got a lot of detail, If you can get it off Thingiverse, it saves you a lot of time. Pigeons, excuse me, lots of pigeons on the layout because it is based around the London area, I suppose. Old type buildings, different types of roof. This was one of my earlier prints and I used tin foil, and I downloaded a corrugated iron maker off Thingiverse, and all you do is you put tin foil through it and it comes out corrugated iron. Not a bad effect, not messing about. But and there we come on to some of the dioramas. All things, barrels I've downloaded, but I've made other stuff, the sack barra, ladders, all the figures I've designed and 3D printed. All the finer detail is 3D printed in resin. We've got some fire buckets on the end now, and they must have the pigeons, barrels. And if you get any failures, save them, because these are failures and you just chuck them where you want. All resin printed, the odd spade, plenty of bins and men, lots of men. This was a union meeting at the CAF. There's them 3D printed bikes, and if you look around, there's the odd pussycat sitting around waiting for a pigeon or two. Cats were downloaded off Thingiverse. So the men were all my design. There you go. This was a failure, but it worked out alright. Didn't print, worked out fine. So never throw your failures away, because you can incorporate them later on. These wagons are failures that I wasn't happy with, so now they've been put to good use in other parts of the layout. Jerry cans and gas cans. Even got me 3D printed ladders. Are best done in FDM. If you print them in resin, you have to have so many supports. It's hard work. So that's FDM printed straight off the printer. These little cranes, got them printed to load them off. They're all knocking around in places. Just work, people. Grates and whatever, and bins and men. There's always men sitting drinking. So I was told that don't have too many action figures because catching someone in mid-air is not right. But sitting down reading a paper or having a cuppa is what looks good. More barrels. Even got some dogs in here. That's it for this video.